Before we proceed to do any elections, we take provisions from our constitution to be the basic law. Now, within the NDC constitution, there is a provision that allows the national executive to formulate guidelines to take care of situations that have not been expressly provided for in our constitution. And so, with this particular elections, we provided guidelines, and everything in the guidelines we have stuck to them, and I don't see where these complaints are coming from. One of the complaints seems to surround the delegates list. In fact, we choose our words very, very carefully. A delegate list remains a delegate list. A delegate list cannot be misconstrued to mean photo album. There are two different documents. We are bound by the guidelines to provide a delegate list within a certain time frame. That has been provided to all our candidates, including Dr. Dufo. Now, the delegate list essentially is the list of the delegates who will be participating in the elections. So we give it out to candidates once they are pronounced to be candidates. That is, if they are able to scale the vetting, we give them the delegate list. That is to assist them in reaching out to the persons who will be casting the ballot on the voting day. So after vetting, we gave this to the various persons who made it through the vetting. Fortunately for us, the NDC delegate list is made up of title holders or duty bearers. We have the bulk of our delegates being branch executives. In every branch, we have 9 executives throughout the country. The latest count, I think we have about 38,000 or so branches. The 38,000 branches are coterminous with the Electoral Commission's polling stations. So when the Electoral Commission creates more polling stations, we create more branches in tandem. Okay. And you'll be able to know when you determine the number of polling stations in the country as per Electoral Commission's register, you know the number of branches that NDC has. So we have stuck to this very religiously. So if you want to know the number of delegates coming from our branches, even if you are not in our party, just go and take Electoral Commission's data about the number of polling stations the Electoral Commission has, multiply it by 9. Then you have the NDC delegates who are coming from branches to vote. Then you come to constituency level. Each one of the 276 constituencies has 28 executives. So, and they are all delegates. So you add the constituency executives to the branch executives. Okay. Then you come to regional executives. Each one of the 16 regions has a certain number of executives. You multiply by 16, and then you get the people who are coming from the regional executives to come and cast their votes. Then national, you know the number of national executives. So these figures are given, they are there. Nobody can change anything if you want to contest. And you come out to say that, well, you are supposed to have this number of constituency executives. We have seen that you have more than 276 times 28. So the number of constituency executives that you have provided in the delegate list is more than what we have. Then you are in conversation with us. Then we can look at it. And then after all this, now you come to the next batch of duty bearers. We have members of parliament. They are entitled to vote. Former members of parliament who are NDC have votes. Former DCs who are NDC have votes. And they come with titles. I'm not sure anybody can fake anybody as a former MP and put the name in the voters register. It cannot happen. Then, after that, you have our delegates from our foreign chapters. So they too, they have a certain number of delegates per chapter. So that chapter would have 15 delegates. So if times the number of branches we have, and the number of branches we have externally is also known by everybody. So in all this, when you put all this together, you realize that there is not a single person who will be entitled to vote who doesn't come with a certain capacity or a certain title. So it is not an easy thing for anybody to put anybody's name there. So if you have a possession of our delegate list, and you come and say that, well, we have seen names A, B, C who are there, but who are not branch executives or constituency executives or regional executives or foreign delegates. Where do they come from? Then we are in good conversation. So far, nobody has challenged the list along those lines. When the delegate list is available and you are going to cast your vote, as happened in the National Congress, you go there and identify yourself, they find your name, and then you cast your vote. There are no pictures. Okay. Because of the high stakes in this particular election, we decided to go out of our way, in fact, out of the guidelines, to provide more transparency measures, to assure everybody that nobody will come to complain after the election. Okay, that is why we decided to build what we call a photo album. So the photo album will assist at the polling station for us to identify faces with the particulars that you have in the delegate list. So the picture album is to help us in maintaining more transparency in the voting so that nobody can impersonate when you are coming to cast your vote. And we thought that this should be good news for all our candidates. Okay. And so the charge that Dr. Dufour's group is raising is that they did not receive the photo album in good time. And we are saying that the photo album is not a requirement. We are bound to give you a delegate list, which we have given you a long time ago. This photo album is something that we are developing that will help us during the voting day at the polling station. So it cannot be a condition you want to force us to satisfy. So that makes because the guidelines, it is not in no mention of photo album in our guidelines at all. And you took the guideline, you subscribed to it, and you filed, and we gave you the delegates list. So if you don't understand how a register is constructed, you may be misled into these beliefs, and you will be taking actions that will amount to just disrupting the party's programs unnecessarily. How can the party's register be bloated? If you are able to tell us that we have more branch executives than what we should have, then at least pinpoint one person who is not a branch executive but whose name has been found in the register. Nobody has been able to tell us that Kwesi or Kwabena has his name here, but we can attest that he's not a delegate. Nobody. So far, all the noise, nobody has. They are talking about percentages and claiming that 2% is bloated by 2%. What is 2%? Tell us the person, at least one person. So the 2% doesn't represent human beings. And if that person is not in the category of persons whose names or who are entitled to vote, then we are in good business. Together we will sort the name out. But so far nobody has told us anything. And we gave the register to them several weeks ago. Nobody has come to tell us that the name is on. They are rather jumping from the register to photo album, which is a mechanism to help us to identify persons, and that is what is the basis of their. But our preparations are up to date at this stage. Whatever the outcome of the court will be, we will adjust our next program going forward from after the court hearing. We have not called off the elections yet because we don't know what the outcome of the court will be. So things are where they are, and then after the court decides, we will take a decision based on what the court directs. We are assuring them that party leadership has done nothing wrong. We have tried as much as possible to abide faithfully by the guidelines we issued to conduct the elections. I have not been part of the people who've been taken to court. I have not been included either by title of national chairman or by my name, Asiedu Nketia. So that gives me some leverage as leader of the party to be able to bring everybody together for us to discuss the issues according to our party's processes. I've been trying to get people around the table to do that. I haven't succeeded completely, but we are still working along that one. So we have party processes underway and these court processes underway. But we would have liked that the party processes will be exhausted first before the court processes trigger in. Be that as it may, we are still trying to run the party processes side by side, the court processes. So whichever yields results first, we will go by it.